so we're gonna find out what kind of parent you will be versus what kind of parent your future spouse will be. My voice is a little bit hoarse. I've just been having like a recurring sore throat, so bear with me. It's from filming too much, like I know it. Okay, so pile 1. I don't think I'm gonna specify. So I'm just gonna do person A versus person B, and then whichever sounds the most like you know the opposite side is your future spouse. We'll do it like that. Okay, pile 1. We've got the 5 of Cups and the 2 of Cups. I'm gonna start out just with 2 cards. And then let's get person B. What kind of parent will person B be? Sorry, there was like one card that was flipped over. It was bothering me. All right, person B, what kind of parent will they be? And a big thank you to my guides and your guides for coordinating these messages. I don't know if I said that already. There we go. Okay. Oh, this is actually very cute. Okay, so for person A here, they had a difficult childhood. Whoever person A is, there's an energy of not wanting to repeat the mistakes of their parents. Now, this could be both of their parents, or maybe they just had a difficult relationship with their mom or their dad, or maybe they, you know, didn't have a connection to their biological mother or father. Maybe they were raised by a different family member, or even maybe they were adopted, something like that. And there's just this energy of, I want to give my kids the kind of childhood that I didn't have, you know? So there may be a little bit of fear and a little bit of anxiety and worry that, you know, am I going to be able to fulfill that role? You know, just kind of this, you know, there may have been some hesitation there around having children because they put a big emphasis on, it's kind of like they don't take that decision lightly. You know, like they understand the full weight and the full responsibility of having a child. And, you know, if they have a child, which given that you're watching this reading, likely you know that you will have children with your future spouse. But like when you have a child with them, there will be a need for you to kind of support them and reassure them that they're up to the challenge, because they don't want to have a child for selfish reasons. You know, like some people have a child because they want someone to depend upon them. They want someone to be like their best friend kind of dynamic. And, you know, your future spouse, if this is them, they really, really want to be the best possible parent that they can be. And they want to make sure that there's kind of like a desire here to provide unconditional love to their children as much as that's possible, right? Because all parents put some kind of conditions on their children, you know, like that's just part kind of, you know, of being human. But they really just want to be the best possible parent that they can be. And so I think that, you know, if this is your future spouse, just be patient with them. Like when you start to have conversations around having children, don't take their hesitation to be them saying they don't want to have children. It's just that to them, it's a huge responsibility. And even in terms of finances, like I don't see this person wanting to have children until you two are completely stable, both within your marriage and within your finances, because this is the type of parent that wants to have a college fund, or, you know, wants to buy their child their first car. Not to say that they're going to spoil them or anything like that, but there's just this desire, like I want my kids to have the childhood that I didn't have, you know, like I want to be able to provide them the experiences that I didn't have. I want to provide them the stability that I didn't have, the love and affection that I didn't have, you know, and I get this energy. Like, when I was a kid, you know, there wasn't, you know, enough money for activities and that kind of thing. Like, I was having a conversation with one of my old coworkers, and she was like, "What do you mean you don't know how to swim?" And I was like, no one ever taught me when I was a kid. Like, you know, most adults aren't going out here and taking swimming lessons. Like, that's typically something you learn when you're a kid. And no one taught me, you know, like, I wasn't enrolled in Girl Scouts and gymnastics and dance class and like all this kind of stuff, you know, like, I was just shipped off to like whatever family member was available to babysit. And, you know, I was like put to work, you know, like, I was canning green beans with my great grandma, and I was like, you know, helping out in the garden and that kind of thing, you know, like, I was just, you know, like, babysat by different family members. There wasn't money for activities, you know. It was a big deal to even be taken to the library, you know. So yeah, I just feel like, be patient with them, because don't take it as I don't want to have kids. It's just that they want to provide that childhood that they didn't have, and they kind of, you know, they don't want to have a child until all of their ducks are in a row. Now, person B, this may be you, this may be your future spouse. This is kind of the dynamic here of someone who grew up with siblings, and there was a lot of competitiveness amongst the family, and this person doesn't want to repeat that. So there's similarities here, right? But on this side over here, there's more of a concern of like, I want to have more than one kid, but I want to make sure that I treat both of them equally. So this person here likely grew up with either multiple siblings or maybe just one brother or sister, and their parents kind of pitted them against each other, or there was a golden child and another child was like the scapegoat, you know, and they don't want to repeat that kind of toxic dynamic. You know, they want their children to get along and to help each other and to, you know, actually be close and get along and not be fighting. And so they want to make sure that they encourage a dynamic, because this person definitely wants more than one kid, but they want to make sure they encourage a dynamic where, you know, there's no favorite child, you know, there's no child that is, you know, again, the golden child. They want there to be a sense of equality there. So if this is your future spouse, they want more than one child, and they want to make sure that, you know, the children are treated equally. Now, this is a more specific message, but if your future spouse has a child from a previous marriage, they want that child, or a previous relationship, they want that child to be treated just the same as, you know, the children that they will have with you, or the child they will have with you. That's a more specific message, so if it doesn't resonate, don't claim it, but it did come through, so I did want to mention it. Okay. Now let's get into some oracle cards to get a little bit more clarity here. Person A, what kind of parent will they be? Person A. I feel like I kind of struggled a little bit with like explaining person A's feelings about things, because I kind of get this feeling with person A that maybe at one point in time they didn't want to have children because their childhood just kind of messed them up in some ways. Wow, and then healing to come through here. Their childhood is really difficult for them to talk about, and it's a lot to explain. I feel like there's a complicated backstory there, and their childhood really influenced, you know, their feelings on parenthood. And so yeah, I just apologize if it took me a minute to get there. With healing here, I think it's going to be very therapeutic, actually, for this person to have a child and to be a parent. I feel like it's just going to be very healing for them, and it's really sweet because remember how I said, like, they don't want to have a child for selfish reasons. Like, they're not looking you know, for parenthood to heal them, and yet it will. And I think it's because they have those good intentions, you know? And yeah, I feel like it's just going to be such a nourishing experience for them to nurture something in a positive way. As I feel like this person is a huge giver and is very compassionate, and I feel like in the past that has caused them some trouble in romantic partnerships, and so it's going to be very healing and therapeutic for them to be in that giving energy and not have it hurt, you know, and to have it actually be something that's healthy, because just the experience of being able to give and to give to, I think, a child and see that energy reciprocated in the sense that that child is going to grow up and become such a loving, caring person themselves, I think is just going to be very rewarding, very rewarding. Okay, now let's find out person B. What kind of parent will they be? Person B. Oh, compassion. Yeah, you two are both just going to be very sweet parents, very loving parents, affectionate parents. You know, you're going to be the type of parents, both of you. I think you're really going to be on the same page in a lot of ways. But I think that you two are the type of parents who say I love you frequently, who will hug your children. You know, your children won't ever question if they're loved or not. They're going to feel very safe, very secure. You see the closeness here, right? And like both of these images. So you're going to be a very close-knit family. I think that there's also an energy here of being very honest with your kids and very open with your kids. Not that you'll treat your kids like mini adults, but rather you will, I think, be the type of parents who are just very open, you know, like, you know how if a kid asks a question, sometimes parents will be like, don't backtalk me, or just do what I say, do what you're told, you don't need to know why. I feel like you won't be that kind of parent. I feel like you'll be the kind of parent that will actually encourage like curiosity, and you'll see that as a sign of intelligence and creativity. And there's an energy here of like wanting to nurture your kids' interests and kind of fostering that and letting it grow organically rather than projecting certain ideals or certain dreams of your own onto your kids. So you're not going to be the kind of parents who want to live vicariously through your children or use your children as a means to accomplish the dreams that you never accomplished. You know, it's not like that. You know, it's very much like, it's kind of like a warm, cozy nest, you know, like how do we, you know, nurture sort of that spark that they're showing within themselves rather than, you know, again, like projecting our own wishes and desires and ideals. I also feel like you won't label your children, because I think that sometimes happens a lot with kids too, of like, oh, they're the quiet one, or this is my like wild child, you know, like you won't label and limit your kids or put them in a role that they feel like they have to stick to. Okay, this is very beautiful reading. I just want to get some final general messages about your family life and just see what else comes through. So pile 1's family life. Scorpio. I love this. I love this so much because I feel like this really speaks to that transformation aspect where, and the healing aspect here too, because I feel like maybe both of you had difficult childhoods, or, you know, just a contentious relationship with one parent, or, you know, I think maybe this side it was a difficult childhood because of the parent situation, and over here maybe it was a difficult childhood because of siblings, but it feels very transformative. Like both of you are going to really grow and develop just on an individual level, but also as a team, as a partnership in your marriage through being parents. Like I feel like it's going to be a very transformative, healing experience, and it's really going to just increase your bond. Honestly, sometimes, in a marriage, people aren't ready to have kids, and then they have kids for the wrong reasons. Some people have kids to save a marriage, and it just ends up highlighting all of the existing dysfunction. And for you all, it's the opposite. It actually is going to strengthen and, you know, help create a resiliency, I think, in the bond between you two in your marriage. You're really going to rely on each other more, utilize each other's strengths, learn from each other. I'm not saying there's not going to be difficulties, as a parent, or challenges, but I feel like you two will really be able to be flexible, I think, also in your approaches and with each other as well. So yes, I think it's going to make your marriage stronger having children. Okay, let's get some final messages here. We've got the moon. We'll get one more card. And the tower. Oh, I like this so much, because I feel like the biggest way both of you will grow is this becoming comfortable with the unknown. Because having children really is just like rolling the dice, right? Like, you don't know what you're gonna get. You don't know if your child is going to, have certain challenges. You don't know if your child, and it can happen at any point in time, right? Like, they can have the smoothest, like, early childhood, and then when they're a teenager, maybe something unexpected happens and they start to have problems at school, or could be the opposite where, maybe they have a difficult time, maybe there's some bullying at school when they're little, and then when they're a teenager, they find their social circle and, they become more comfortable with themselves. Like, you never know exactly what's going to happen, or even just like certain like health issues, things like that. And I feel like this is the whole experience of being a parent is going to help you feel more confident and being comfortable with the unknown, being comfortable with the unexpected. And I feel like, as exhausting as it can be sometimes, being a parent, it's going to feel so emotionally fulfilling for you and your future spouse. And I also feel like there's going to be some sort of unexpected event at some point, in your family life, that I feel like is going to just sort of create this forever bond between you all. Like, you will always look back and remember how you overcame this event as a family. And I think you will even look back on it kind of fondly. Like, as hard as it will be when you go through it, you'll always look back and remember, like, how you all came together. Now, it's going to vary. I don't want to scare you about that, because obviously you're all going to get through it and you're going to be better for it. And it's going to vary, obviously. It's a general reading. But there will be something that you will have to overcome as a family. And yeah, I feel like you're going to just feel so grateful also that you have each other, at that time, because I think that's the beautiful aspect of having a partner and having a family, is that when difficult things do come up, because that's life, you don't have to go through it alone, So, pile 1, this was your reading. I hope it resonated, and I hope it brought you some insight into your future family life. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you hit the notification bell, then you will always know when I upload. Thank you all for your patience. I think there's probably going to be fewer readings in February as well. I'm just trying to take a more balanced approach to filming, because I know, like, if there was one thing I need to work on, it's being a workaholic. That's not me, like, humble bragging or anything like that. It's really unhealthy. Like, it's a really unhealthy thing. And so I'm trying to embrace, like, my divine feminine and take my rest when I need it. And what else was I going to say? Oh, thank you all so much for your continued support. And yeah, I will see you all in my next one. Take care, pile 1. go. So we're gonna find out what kind of parent you will be versus your future spouse. So I'm not going to specify which side is which. So I'm just gonna do person A versus person B, and you can decide which sounds the most like you, which side you resonate the most with, and then you'll know the opposite side is your future spouse. I just think because it's a general reading, it will resonate with more people if I do it that way. All right, so pile 2, a big thank you to my guides and your guides for coordinating these messages. Pile 2, what kind of parent will you be? What do we need to know, please, Spirit? Pile 2, what kind of parent will you be? Oh my gosh, to have the Empress. I was hoping a group would get the Empress. That makes me so happy. The Five of Wands also came out in pile 1, but I think it came out on the other side. Okay, group 2, person B, what kind of parent will they be, please, Spirit? Okay, right off the bat, just as soon as I picked up this deck and the way the deck is already behaving, someone over here is really excited to be a parent, like really excited. Like, I'm hearing, I have waited a lifetime for this, like I've been preparing for this my whole life. Like someone, yes, someone played with like baby dolls when they were little, or dreamed of having kids since they were little. They've always wanted it, maybe not like a lot of children, but they have always wanted to be a parent. You know, for some of you, yeah, like they've always wanted a big family. For others of you, like they've just always wanted maybe one child to spoil. But there's just an energy of like, over here, it's just, I was gonna start with person A, but person B is like, me first, me first. Like they're just so excited to be a parent. Like there's an energy here of like just wanting to give your child or your kids the world. Like you, if this is your future spouse, you may have to have some conversations with them about not spoiling them, because there's just, or even just, you know, encouraging more independence in your child or your children, because this is the type of parent that wants to do everything for their kids, wants to give them everything, and kind of, you know how you think of like the 50s style housewife who can like bake the best cookies and knows all the neighborhood kids and, you know, has the best house that everyone likes to hang out at, and, you know, makes homemade Halloween costumes and is in charge of the PTA and, you know, does all the bake sales and, you know, kind of that ideal picture of parenthood. And this could also still be your future spouse. You know, if you're interested in a man, you can flip that to, you know, like the best dad, the perfect dad. You know, that kind of stereotype, the dad who coaches the soccer team and, you know, does all the dad jokes and, you know, that kind of father. The kind of father who spoils their kids at Christmas and birthdays and, you know, whatever. That's this person, you know, and they will also be like a worrier. You know, this is the type of parent who is also overprotective, and, you know, they're not just gonna let their kid go to so-and-so's house without meeting their parents first. You know, this may even be the type of parent that is like no sleepovers, not even with family members. Like, you know, they may just have a lot of rules, or, you know, you may not even have a curfew because you may not even be able to go out after dark. You know, like there's just like a strictness here because they view their kids as their life, the most precious thing in the world. And yeah, so you know, you may agree with that. This may be you, or it may be your future spouse's energy, and maybe you won't be as strict, but there may be some conversations to be had about giving the kids a little bit more space or freedom. Or maybe not. Maybe you agree with that, and maybe this is your energy. Okay, person A. Let's get back over here. This is definitely like, if you're a woman watching this, this is probably you. Just because the Empress card came out. Like, this is, and I don't usually say that with the Empress card. Usually I'm like, oh, you know, divine feminine energy. But I feel like especially in this reading, this does feel like if you're a woman watching this, this is likely you. Now, if you're interested in a woman and you're a woman watching this, then I'm not really helping you in terms of like figuring out who's who. But with the Empress card here, this is someone who's going to be just so incredibly loving and nurturing and affectionate and understanding and sweet. This person may end up being more of the disciplinarian. Like, even though they spoil the kids or the child in terms of like buying them stuff and doing everything for them and trying to swoop in and be like the hero and solve all their problems, they will also be, you know, the parent that says, no, you can't go stay at your friend's house, you know? So it's kind of an interesting dynamic for person B, but person A, I think, is going to be the parent that the kids run to and say, Mom or Dad said I couldn't go to so-and-so's house, but, you know, can you talk to them? And, you know, I feel like, because with this Five of Wands, it's coming out different than group one. And this reading is coming out like, this is the parent that typically always says yes to the things that this parent says no to. And so I feel like the child will, or the children will run to this parent to fight their battles for them. And it's funny because I feel like you both will kind of spoil your kids in different ways. And so there may be a need here to be mindful to not let your kids or your child pit you against each other, to be quite honest, because the things that they say yes to, you would say no to, or if this is you, you know, you can flip that. And it's funny because there's an energy of this person definitely spoils. I wouldn't say the Empress here is spoiling the kids, but more so there's just a softer approach on certain matters. And so I feel like even though this one spoils in terms of like money and doing stuff for the kids, this one is more emotionally invested, emotionally supportive, and so the kids can try to play on that a little bit and pull on the heartstrings here of the Empress. I think when it comes down to it, the Empress has better boundaries than person B does with the children. But yeah, I would just be mindful of that your kids, you know, may try to work you two against each other. I mean, kids can be manipulative like that, right? Like, Dad said no, but, you know, if we ask Mom, maybe we can get her to say yes, you know, something like that. So I think it's just something to be mindful of. But I think overall, you two are really going to be on the same page in terms of your kids are your world. I mean, they really are. I think you both invest so much. I feel like this person shows their love for their kids through gift giving and acts of service, whereas this person over here is more about quality time and words of affirmation. So I hope that maybe clears up, because it is a little bit of a complicated dynamic. I hope that clears it up a little bit for you all. Okay, let's just get some more, you know, kind of general information. Hi group 2, so I was putting the cards away and then I realized I didn't use this deck for you all, so I don't want you to feel cheated. So we're gonna do it side by side. So person A, what kind of parent will they be for group 2, please Spirit? We've got magic. And then person B, what kind of parent will they be? All love, okay. Yes, I feel like this kind of sums up everything that I always have to start with person B, because it's like their energy demands it. Like, person B is just so hyped about being a parent. Like, this is like, I think that no matter what other dreams or aspirations they have in life, what they have wanted the most is to be a parent. Like, I feel like this is the end all be all for them. Like, everything they've ever wanted is to be a mom or a dad. Like, that's it for them. And so, yeah, just the way the fairy is like clutching at this heart here, like, this is the type of parent that would cry, you know, at the birth of their child, that cries on birthdays and graduations and celebrates every little milestone. This is the type of parent that, you know, keeps a baby book and charts, you know, how tall they get on the wall, you know, where people like carved like the little notches in the wall. You know, this is a parent that is sentimental and nostalgic and says, oh no, you're growing up too fast, you know? And this is definitely the type of parent who like saves everything, you know, saves the baby clothes, saves all the little mementos, or, you know, if your kids make, you know, artwork and color things, you know, you may have to tell them like, okay, like we can't keep every single thing that they make for us. Like, we have to have some kind of like organizing system or something, because this person will be so sentimental, so sentimental. And they will really treasure like every milestone of being a parent. I mean, they really will. Like, they'll just love it so much. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much love from this person. Now, pile one. I feel like I said pile one. I meant person A for group 2. It's just hard. With group 2, person A. Remember, this side was the side that got the Empress card basically twice. I do feel like you're gonna be a special parent in your own right. Like, I feel like you're the parent that is the most fun to play with. Like, I feel like you have a sense of imagination and creativity with your kids. Like, you're still a kid at heart yourself, and so I feel like you relate really well to children, and it may even surprise you how well you end up connecting, especially if you've never really been around kids, or you didn't have younger siblings, or you've maybe, you know, weren't sure if you even wanted to be a parent. I think it's gonna surprise you, you know, how much you easily kind of like you're a natural at it. Like, the Empress would be a natural mother, you know, a natural maternal figure. Even if you know, this is a father over here, it's like you just naturally kind of fulfill the role that we would typically associate with being a mother. You know, the emotional support just comes easy to you. The play aspect just comes easy to you. I do think that person A is kind of the fun parent, because it's like this parent will buy their kids the world and, you know, kind of, you know, spoil the kids a little bit. But this one over here is the fun one, you know, is the parent that, you know, makes the kids laugh, that comes up with really cool games and activities. And I feel like overall, like, you both will give your kids like a very magical childhood, like the kind of childhood that you see in like TV shows, or that you would read about in like children's books, you know, like kind of just dream parents, to be honest. Like, not to say that you'll be perfect parents, because we did get into that a little bit, but yeah, I feel like your kids are just going to have a very magical childhood that others would definitely be envious of, and you'll be even thinking like, man, I wish I had a childhood like this. Like, there's just an energy of like giving your kids the world. I think that keeps coming up over and over again in this reading. Yeah, magic. Like, that's like one of the best cards you could have gotten. Okay, now you're reading. I'm probably just gonna insert this in, and so you'll see like a jump cut. That's probably what I'll end up doing. All right, let's get on with it, group 2. About your family life and the type of parents group 2 will be, please, Spirit. We've got Capricorn and Virgo. Okay, so double earth sign energy here. I feel like you both will have you both are very focused on fostering success within your kids, but not success in terms of like you want them to grow up and make a ton of money. But not that that's a bad wish for your kids, that they'll be financially stable or abundant in their future, but more so that you want them to be like honest, hardworking, dedicated people, but dedicated to what they love. You know what I mean? Like there's not this energy of like setting out a path for your kids and telling them they have to follow this certain path. You know, like you're not pressuring them in that way, but you're just more so telling them you can do whatever you want to do, but make sure you give your full heart to it. And make sure that you like give it your all. Like if you're gonna do something, then commit to it. You know, like I feel like this is really a family of achievers, but not in a toxic way of like you're telling your kids like you have to go to this certain college and do this certain major and you have to, I don't know, take over the family business, or you have to, like there's no like forcing like you have to do this stuff with your life. Like you're not trying to control your kids' lives, like especially after they're 18. You're not trying to, you know, control their life path, but more so trying to instill in them the positive qualities and traits and kind of developing a strong character within them so that they will grow up to be good people who are successful in the sense that they are happy, safe, and secure. You know, and that's sort of like your wish, your hope for them. Which I think is good, because I was kind of getting a little bit nervous with person B's energy, like, oh man, like, are they gonna spoil the kids rotten? And so I feel like this is really good energy to come in and kind of ground out, especially person B's like approach to parenting. The Chariot, this talks about success, like wanting to set your kids up to be on the right path for them. So you are respecting each child if you have multiple children. I think with the Five of Wands, you likely will. Just setting them up on the right path for each individual child's unique needs. I also saw the Empress card flip over again, so yeah, I feel like there is, y'all are softies. I mean, ultimately for your kids, I don't care like how strict of a disciplinarian you think you're gonna be. I feel like, you know, your kids really know how to pull at your heartstrings. If you're person A, they really know how to pull at your heartstrings. They do. They know how to work the system, you know, a little bit there. I do think that, you know, ultimately, like, you will be able to put your foot down if this is you when it counts, especially in terms of, like, tempering out person B's energy and making sure they're not buying their kids everything, and, you know, because there is an energy there of, like, wanting to instill a work ethic into your kids and making sure they understand the value of things. I think that that might come later. Like, you may start to recognize that you two are, especially person B, like spending a lot of money on the kids, and maybe kind of looking back on it and saying, you know what, we need to start being mindful that we're teaching our kids the value of things so that they aren't taking it for granted, and that they are grateful and appreciative, but also recognize the privilege that they have in being able to receive these things. And I think that's just kind of a, you know, like, not wanting to buy your kids the most expensive of everything and then have them toss it to the side the minute that they get it, or to destroy it and not take care of it. Like, just wanting them to understand that, you know, there are less fortunate people in the world, you know? Yeah, just wanting them to have an appreciation for money and just a concept of it, I feel like. Let me see here. I will say, I mean, I think that you are going to be, like, very financially stable and well off. I feel like you're going to be quite wealthy by the time you have children, because you would have to be able to spend the kind of money that person B, because I'm telling you, like, they spend some money on the kids, for certain. Okay, so group 2, this was your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it brought you some clarity about your future family life. So this is going to be part of a 3-day series. I don't know if I mentioned that already or not, but be on the lookout for more videos about this. And let's see. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Hit the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. You can also tip now with the virtual tip jar called SuperThanks. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere on the page. And oh yeah, a huge thank you to everyone who's been supporting the channel thus far. Wishing you the very best. Take care, group 2. Hi group 3, last but not least. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with your reading. The way I'm gonna do this is this side will be person A and this side will be person B. So I'm not gonna specify who is you and who is your future spouse. I'm just gonna let you decide that for yourself. I think that will help the reading resonate with more people because it is a general reading. Okay. Group A, what kind of parent will you be? Group A. And a big thank you to my guides and your guides for coordinating these messages. Group A, what kind of parent will you be? We've got the 3 of Pentacles and the Page of Swords. And then we'll go ahead and get person B's cards, and then we'll get started. You've got Judgment. Oh, wow, and the 9 of Cups. Okay. All right, so the same thing is happening in group 2 where person B's energy is so strong, it's like demanding that I address it first. So I'm gonna do the same thing. You may have been drawn to group 2 as well, but we'll see. So with the Judgment card here, this can talk about answering the call of spirit, like answering the call of the universe. And the 9 of Cups talks about wish fulfillment. So I feel like this is really saying for person B, it's their soul's calling to be a parent. You know, I feel like so much of the time, especially in a society like driven by capitalism, I know it can vary depending upon what country you're living in, but especially if you're from the United States and you're watching this, so much of like what we think of as our soul's purpose is kind of tied up in our career, right? Like, what's our purpose in life? How are we going to, you know, make money? Like, what is our career path? And we kind of associate that a lot with our identity. You know, like, I'm a police officer, I'm a doctor, and we kind of take on that role, and that's how we identify ourselves and how we sort of conceptualize where we fall into society. And I feel like for either you or your future spouse, their soul's calling is actually to be a parent. You know, like, that is their jam. That is, you know, not to say they won't work or they won't have a career or other things outside of that, but ultimately what they were meant to do is to nurture a life. Like that, like there is just, they were made for that role. You know, like if we were casting a play, they would be meant to be the parent, the mom or the dad. Like, that's just the role that comes easily to them, naturally to them, and it's going to be a wish come true to be a parent. It's going to be so incredibly fulfilling for them. And a lot of times too, like when I see this kind of energy, it signifies to me that at least one of your kids, or if you just want one child, your child, is going to grow up to be someone important. Like they are going to do something big. And you are kind of, you and your partner, Lord, you and your partner are kind of the chosen ones to nurture, you know, this child or these children who are going to grow up and do incredible things. And I feel like this person, and this could be you, is going to have a very close relationship with your child or with one of your children. Like they're going to have a very special bond with, you know, again, depending upon how many kids you want, at least one of your kids. And, you know, that may be a little bit tricky. Like if you have 3 children and there's one child that they just obviously have a very close bond with, and it may not be a conscious thing where they're trying to pick a favorite, but it's just how it is that they just feel so close to this one child, you may have to compensate. You know, if this is your future spouse, you may have to compensate and give the other kids more attention so they're not jealous of the favorited child. You know, that may come up a bit. Or you may have to have a conversation with your future spouse and say like, hey, I don't feel like you're meaning to do this, but, you know, it's kind of obvious that, I don't know, Emily is your favorited kid here, and, you know, we need to give Jason and James some more attention because they're kind of feeling left out. That may come up. And it could be if you just have one child, you may feel a little bit left out if your future spouse is this person and they have such a close relationship with the child, and, you know, you may feel like chopped liver sometimes, like you're not, you know, as close with your kid as you want to be, or they have a secret language that maybe you just don't understand. So I know that's not the happiest of messages, but it did come through. So, you know, I want to be honest with you all when I see something like that. Now, here for person A, I do feel like it's going to be a little bit more of a learning curve for person A in terms of being a parent. With the 3 of Pentacles, like I feel like they're really gonna have to work at it a little bit. It's gonna be a bit of an adjustment. You know, they're not a natural like person B is. You know, it does take some effort, but the thing with person A is that they're willing to put in that effort. You know, I feel like person A, honestly, this seems to me like a dynamic where person A makes the money and person B stays at home with the kids. That's kind of what I'm seeing here, to be honest with you. With person A, it seems like they are really fulfilled and happy with their career, and that's what they're like naturally confident in, what they're good at. You know, they're good at making money, they're good at their job, and being a parent is kind of, you know, more of a challenge for them. It doesn't come as naturally to them as person B, who's like the perfect parent and fulfilling their like soul's calling, you know. But both of you were chosen to raise this child or these kids. So person A, if you're watching this right now, like don't feel like you're going to be a failure as a parent. It's just something that you have to work at a little bit, and you are willing to put in that effort, which is what makes you a good parent. You know, the fact that you're willing to work at it. And with the Page of Swords, I feel like this is going to be the area where it's kind of the trickiest for you, and that's communication. So anything in relation to communication is going to be a little bit more of a struggle for you. It's going to be maybe harder for you to communicate with your kids when they're little and maybe not lose your patience or explain things to them in a certain way, or, you know, maybe watching your language a bit more around the kids, or yeah, I think it's just going to be a little bit more of a learning curve for you, maybe even in terms of emotional support. You know, like maybe that's a little bit harder for you with children. Not to say that you're not good at communicating your emotions or anything like that if this is you, but just that it's a little bit more difficult with a child, you know, and it's just more of a learning curve for you. You know, like if your kid's throwing a tantrum, you may be at a loss, like what is the right thing for me to do? Thankfully, this is your partner over here, and they are up to the challenge, and they can help you out. Again, if this is you, person B will be able to help you out, and kind of, you can follow their lead, you know? But I think ultimately, you two will make a really great team. Group 1 and 2 were more integrated, and I feel like in this marriage, there's more defined traditional roles. And so especially if this is a husband and wife dynamic, you know, this is the wife over here and this is looking like the husband, where there's those traditional, you know, gender roles. This is the breadwinner, this is the homemaker. Like that's the kind of dynamic that is emerging. Okay, let's get some more messages here. So, person A, what kind of parent will they be, please, Spirit? Person A. We've got friendship. Person B, what kind of discovery? Okay. I really like that this card came out, actually, because I feel like this kind of clears it up for me. Like, that's kind of the issue here for person A, is that they want to be a friend to their kids. And sometimes when you're raising children, that's not always what you need to be, right? Like sometimes you have to be the disciplinarian. Sometimes you have to say no to your kids, or, you know, your kids aren't always going to be happy with you. And I feel like that is part of the struggle here. And I think especially because person A feels a little bit insecure about their parenting abilities, especially when the kids are young or the child is young. And so because of that, you know, they don't feel very confident about even being left alone. I think especially with the baby would freak this person out. Like it's just not something that comes, it's not that they're lazy, because they are willing to put the work in, but they kind of need a little bit of hand holding. Like there's kind of an energy of like, I'm scared to hold the baby, I'm scared to change the diaper, I'm scared to feed the baby. And like once you show this person and give them some positive feedback, you know, then I think that they'll feel more comfortable with that kind of stuff. But I think in the beginning, like they're kind of afraid, like if they hold the baby, it's gonna explode. Like there's just this fear of like messing up and doing the wrong thing. And I feel like honestly this person may have been an only child, or they just didn't have any like close interactions with babies and like toddlers when they were growing up, or yeah, in their family. Like they don't have a lot of little nieces and nephews or little cousins or younger siblings, whatever. And so because of that, this person may tend towards the role of being like the jokester, you know, the fun parent, the parent that's your friend, you know, because the harder aspects of parenting, it's not that they're not willing to work at it, but rather they just feel insecure about it. And so they kind of fall into this role of being more of a friend to the kids than a parent. And so I think that would be what this person will have to work on as the kids grow up, you know. And they may be like this, if you're wanting multiple kids, they may be like this with the first child, and then by the time you have your second kid, they've overcome this, because again, like I want to stress this person is willing to work at it. Parenthood just doesn't come naturally to them. Okay. I also feel like this is the type of parent that will have a closer relationship with their kids once they are like teenagers, or once they are fully grown adults. Like I feel like they will just feel closer and more comfortable with their kids as they get older. Okay, now with person B over here, behold the world with new eyes, discovery. I just cannot stress this enough with person B. Like they just find so much joy in the every little step of being a parent and watching you know, your child grow up. Like, they are going to be over the moon excited to hear, you know, their baby say their first word, you know, or for their kid to take their first steps, you know. It's just going to be such a rewarding experience for them. Like, they just marvel. That's the word that's coming through. They just marvel at watching their kids progress through those developmental stages. You know, like, every day is something exciting and new to discover about their child and being a parent. And yeah, I feel like it's just going to be the most rewarding experience. I honestly see this group having more than one kid, or kind of a big family, to be quite honest, because this person just loves being a parent so much. Okay, let's move on to these decks. We're just gonna get some more general information about family life. Let's see, pile 3. Aw, Pisces. Oh, I love this. I love this so much. I feel like, you know how with Pisces here, it's 2 fish swimming in the opposite direction? I kind of feel like that's the dynamic here between the 2 parents. It's like both of you are so different, and yet you both do have something of value to add to the family. And so it's like, this does feel like opposites attract, quite frankly. And it does feel like there's a strong masculine energy versus a strong feminine energy. I want to say this the right way. There's a dynamic here where, again, I think especially with person A and them feeling insecure about being a parent, I feel like as time goes on, they're going to understand that without their presence in the house, you know, without their input, there wouldn't be this sense of completion, right? Like, these 2 fish create a complete circle, the yin and the yang. Like, both of these energies are needed. And even if they're not the best parent in a traditional sense, that doesn't mean that they don't have value to add to the family. And so I feel like honestly, like, at the very I know this is kind of getting outside of the scope of like what we were originally talking about, but I feel like at the start of this relationship, person B may be a little bit insecure that person A is more advanced in their career, has more money, is more like traditionally successful. And then when they have children, it's like that narrative flips. And then person A feels a little bit insecure that person B is such a natural at parenthood and that they're so good at it. And then, you know, and it's like this person is finding their lane. And it actually is very positive that now there is more balance within the marriage and the dynamic between you and your future spouse, because both of you have your respective lanes that you're really good at, and now there's more equity in the marriage. Okay? All right, so let's get our final messages here. We have the Wheel of Fortune. I feel like this really calls back to this Judgment card, in that this is like a fated, you know, marriage, a fated union, that these 2 people were meant to meet. They were meant to have a child. I could see there being a pregnancy early on in the marriage, or even if you're looking to adopt, that would be a conversation that would start early on in the marriage. Like, I don't feel like it's very long before you start having children. And then here we have the Hermit. I do feel like this is a family where the home is very important. Like, there's not... I kind of feel like, honestly, like person A is going to work a lot. So I don't feel like there's maybe a lot of vacations or traveling or that sort of thing. You may take like one big family trip once a year and, you know, you go all out for that trip. But I do feel like home is like everything, and it kind of feels like person B will be like the best homemaker ever. And so it's kind of like our home is so amazing, like we don't really want to leave it. Like to stay at a hotel would be like a downgrade, because I feel like you're gonna live in just a really beautiful home. And I feel like even your kids may not want to go anywhere because they just may love being at home, because person B has created just the most amazing, beautiful living space for you all. There's like a coziness here, a coziness. Okay. You also, both of you may be home buddies. Like person A works so hard, they probably are tired and they probably do just want to come home and kick their feet up and, you know, enjoy family life. You know, it doesn't feel like you all will travel a whole lot, or have even a desire to. And it could be also that you live on some land, so there may be some like natural beauty where you live, and so it's like you live in a place that other people vacation to, you know, so it's like, why leave? We live in a vacation, you know what I mean? So yes, group 3, this was your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some clarity on your future family life. A huge thank you to everyone who's been supporting the channel thus far. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Hit the notification bell and you will always know when I upload. And yeah, I hope you all have a great day. Take care, group 3.